Miyako Hiraoka, a first-year student at Shimane Prefectural University, had one pressing worry: walking that dark road back to her dorm alone after her evening shift. The path wound under a shrine's torii gate, with barely any streetlights to break the shadows. It had an eerie stillness, especially now that her friend, who used to walk with her, had quit the job. After weeks of making the journey alone, Miyako decided it was time to switch to a part-time job closer to the station, at a lively izakaya where she could easily catch the bus home. Her mind was set, but when her manager pleaded with her to stay just 2 more weeks until a replacement could be found, she reluctantly agreed. But in that moment, without realizing it, she had sealed her fate. On the night of October 26, 2009, just 2 days before her final shift, she vanished into the night without a trace. That day, Hiraoka finished her afternoon classes and returned to her dorm around 3 p.m. Later, she headed out for her shift at Baskin-Robbins in the Yume Town Hamada shopping center, located about 2.5 kilometers or about 1.6 miles away. She worked there from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m., and at 9:15 p.m., surveillance footage captured her leaving the store, dressed in a black and white striped dress and black leggings. The following day around 5:30 p.m., her mother sent her a message, but there was no response. After repeated calls went unanswered and it was confirmed she hadn't returned to her dorm, her family reported her missing to the police on October 28th. An investigation was launched, which escalated to a public search on November 2nd. However, no leads on her whereabouts emerged. On November 6th, 11 agonizing days after Hiraoka vanished without a trace, her family's fragile hope was destroyed in the most horrific way imaginable. A man, out foraging for mushrooms on the dense, mist-shrouded slopes of Mount Garyu, stumbled across something grotesque, half buried in a bed of fallen leaves near a steep cliffside, an unmistakable sight that would haunt him. Lying alone in the forest, approximately 40 kilometers or about 25 miles from the bustling shopping center where she was last seen, was the severed head of a young woman. In the following hours, DNA testing by the Shimane and Hiroshima Prefectural Police confirmed the family's worst fears. It was Hiraoka. The autopsy conducted at Hiroshima University revealed that 1 to 2 weeks had likely passed since the time of death, placing it between October 26th and October 31st. Her face bore signs of brutal violence: deep bruises, intense subcutaneous bleeding from severe blows, and footprints suggesting she'd been forcefully stepped on. Reddened eyes and marks on her neck pointed to strangulation with a cord, leaving a haunting record of a desperate struggle. During a search of Mount Garyu, involving 200 officers, police found her femur, torso, and left ankle. The torso, missing its limbs, lay partially covered by leaves, hinting it had been left there for some time. Though the body showed no signs of decay, it had been mutilated, the breasts removed, many internal organs gouged out, and burn marks suggesting it had been set on fire. The genital area was so damaged that investigators couldn't determine the victim's gender. Later, on the 19th, officers discovered some fingernails and bone fragments and animal droppings nearby, but the rest of her body remained missing. At an emergency press conference, Shimane Prefectural Police Chief Wataru Ohashi stressed the critical need to solve the case, calling it an exceptionally brutal crime. He went on to say, "This is more than just a criminal investigation. It's a test of the police force's very purpose." Investigators examined vehicles traveling from Hamada City to Mount Garyu around the time of her disappearance, aided by the automatic license plate recognition system. Surveillance footage from Hamada City, however, showed no trace of Hiraoka, suggesting she may have run into trouble right after leaving the shopping center. Known for her caution and unlikely to follow a stranger, she may have entered a car with someone familiar. Upon investigation, police found no close relationships or potential suspects, as Hiraoka had only recently moved to the city. They widened their search, considering the brutality of the crime. Profiles included individuals with histories of renting horror movies, hunters, and forestry workers experienced in dissection. A plastic fragment found attached to her torso turned out to be part of a phone book delivery bag. Since the bags differed in color, lettering, and design based on distribution area and year, this fragment became a crucial clue. Ink analysis revealed that it had been distributed in several cities in Shimane Prefecture. On November 30th, officers found a black sneaker in a ditch along her usual route home. It had a thick sole and matched her shoe size, strengthening their belief it belonged to her. Over the next year, nearly 60,000 officers were involved in the investigation, gathering about 1,700 tips. Despite extensive efforts, they found no leads or suspects. Eventually, the investigation reached a dead end, with police holding a press conference appealing to the perpetrator to come forward. In 2016, 7 years after this shocking crime, a new lead brought the case back into the public eye. Investigators re-examined vehicles flagged by license plate readers in Hamada City around the time of the incident. One car stood out for avoiding main roads, opting instead for side streets. It was registered to a 33-year-old man named Yoshiharu Yano. Yano had a record of prior sexual offenses, prompting police to search his belongings. On a digital camera and USB stick recovered from his family, forensic experts managed to retrieve deleted data. 57 harrowing photos documenting the dismemberment of Hiraoka's body. Background details in the images indicated the crime likely took place in the bathroom of a house Yano was living in, located in Shimane Prefecture. After 7 long years, it appeared the suspect had finally been identified, only for an even more shocking truth to emerge. Yano had died in a car accident with his mother just 2 days after Hiraoka's head was discovered. Yano had grown up in Shimonoseki City. Known for his academic success, he joined the track and field team and became captain in junior high, later earning a black belt in judo and excelling in an advanced high school class. He was remembered as serious and quiet. While studying at university, Yano became an avid drummer, almost reaching a professional level, before tensions with his bandmates led him to quit. Eventually, a chronic health condition forced him to give up music. In 2004, Yano committed 3 sexual assaults in Kitakyushu and Tokyo, serving 3.5 years in prison. His attorney described him as typically quiet and gentle, but noted that his unfulfilled desire for a relationship made him dangerously unpredictable when provoked. After his release, Yano lived alone in Masuda City in Shimane, working as a successful solar panel salesman. His manager only had positive things to say about him. On October 26, 2009, the day Hiraoka went missing, Yano had the day off. After her disappearance, he requested a new sales territory. Then, on November 6th, when her head was discovered, he took an additional 2 days off. While he didn't seem to act strangely, he told an acquaintance, "Something terrible has happened." Just 2 days later, Yano and his mother died in a fiery car accident on a highway in Yamaguchi after visiting his late father's grave, who had passed away a year earlier. Their vehicle collided 3 times with a guardrail before bursting into flames. Despite no evidence of contact between Yano and Hiraoka, questions linger over why it took years to identify him as a suspect. Though police initially checked vehicles near Mount Garyu, they hadn't traced Yano's presence in the area. The case, which had taken such an unexpected turn, reached a chilling conclusion. No prosecution due to the suspect's death. Yet many questions persist: where Hiraoka was abducted, where the rest of her remains might be, and why Yano targeted her. Her family, haunted by these unresolved questions, continues to search for closure that may never come. In a chilling final twist, investigators uncovered Yano's profile on a social networking site called Mixi. His bio read, "I welcome those who come, but those who leave, I will chase to the ends of hell."